Hi everyone, Dr. Jonathan Hopkirk, Sydney-based hair loss doctor, and this week we are going to continue to answer those questions that you have had on recent videos of mine on GT20029, China's new topical hair loss drug. So last week we tackled a couple of questions around how this particular drug differs from other drugs that are either in the trial phases or on the market, whereas today I wanted to tackle the 3 remaining questions that had come in that I thought were of great value. So thank you so much for the questions. It does mean that we can get a little bit dynamic with these videos, and answering your questions brings a lot of joy because ultimately it helps other people to have that understanding. So let's tackle the 3 questions today. Is this supposed to help maintain hair forever? This is a great question. Anything that we use on our heads to counter hair loss, we would hope that it's going to last forever. The unfortunate thing is, though, however, is because it's genetically derived, the issue that is androgenic alopecia, unless you flipped those genetics off and they stopped interacting with your body, or they stopped predisposing you to having this issue, it's going to be very, very hard for you to create something that is ever going to have long-lasting action. As we know, even things like vaccines require boosters, down the track. So what this particular drug, GT20029, has shown is that you can apply it twice a week and get great results over a 12-week period, which is a very short time frame. They have not yet, though, highlighted what the maintenance is like. So can you drop that back to once a week after you've been using it for 52 weeks or a year? Do you have to increase it because you build a bit of a tolerability, or you get a bit of a plateau? That has not yet been highlighted. It's only going through phase 2 trials. They're currently in the process of launching the phase 3 trials. Haven't found much more about that yet, but in China they're looking to do the phase 3 trials as we speak. But I would predict, as a hair loss doctor and having studied science through uni, I would predict that this is going to require some degree of maintenance. Whether that's an increasing level of maintenance, like we see with other hair loss drugs, you end up having to stack them because you don't get the same results ongoing or forever. You get to a bit of a plateau phase and things tend to drop off a little bit. Some people regress, so you have to add in other things into the mix, and that's what we know is true of medicine, unfortunately, not just hair loss. So likelihood is that you're probably going to have to maintain this forever. Yes. How do you maintain it? Well, we're going to find out in time exactly how this particular drug interacts with other drugs. When you stack them, is there a very good synergy between them, or do they cancel each other out even? So we'll learn more of this in time, particularly in the aftermarket trials. If it does go to market, that's when we really find out a lot in the phase 4 or aftermarket data. So that's that question wrapped up. My prediction is that yes, you will have to do this forever as long as your hair matters to you. Question 2. I'm sure Finasteride also did not have any side effects during those trials. Then the side effects start to appear after years of use. I'm afraid similar outcome might be with GT. Look, I don't disagree with you here. The likelihood is that any drug that comes on the market where you only trial it in the trial phases on, anywhere from 100 to 300 people, if you've got a 1 in 100 chance of having a side effect, then you're going to see it maybe on 3 people. So will that be deemed as significant? Well, if a person doesn't die or have significant systemic issues, it's up to the jury as to whether or not it's going to be deemed so significant that it doesn't go to market. But when this drug is then released in a mass market way, and it's used by millions of people who care about their hair, yeah, I don't disagree. We're probably going to see some side effects that we didn't see in the trial phases. Look at Ozempic. In the initial trial phases, there was a number of side effects which were highlighted, but in the post-market world, having been used on millions upon millions of people, more things are now coming out about how it interacts with the body and the side effects that are coming to light. So I don't disagree. In time, any drug, whether it's GT, whether it's pyrolutamide, whether it's PP405, we are going to find out more about the side effects as it's used on more people. And that's just the nature of pharmacology. So I don't disagree with you, but we'll need more time to get a better understanding around what those side effects are. Which is why I stress you don't have to be the first person using these things. You don't have to be the first person to grab particularly something when people ask about black market or grey market availability. You don't have to be the first person to grab it. Don't have to be the first person to use it. Let other people use it for the first 12 months, 24 months, and see what side effects might jump up before you then go jumping on it. That's my personal view as a doctor and someone who cares for health, not just the hair follicle. Question 2 for today. Do we know when it will be available on the market? No, we do not. The current stage it is in is that it is in the phase 3 trials in China, or they're said to be now. Whether they've kicked off or not, it's not been said. Someone can highlight me to some literature or some articles if that has been the case, but it is said to be kicking off about now in China, the phase 3 trials, and the phase 2 trials are meant to be kicking off in the US sort of early next year. So to get FDA approval, obviously it has to go through the trials in the USA. And what we've known about Kintor Pharmaceuticals is that when they had the pyrolutamide studies, when they actually had those studies done in China versus USA, there was a discrepancy in the results that were achieved. So we want to see just how effective this drug is when it's trialed in the US market on Caucasian scalps, on scalps of a whole different range of racial groups, to get a good understanding around how does this drug stand up to other available drugs on the market, and how safe is it. At this point in time, my prediction would be at least 2030, best case scenario sooner, but probably 2030 or thereafter. So that wraps up these questions for part 1 of the Q&A last week and part 2 of the Q&A this week. I hope you've gotten some good understanding about GT20029 over the last few weeks. If you missed the original videos and the mechanism of action and what the trials have revealed, then you can check them out in my channel. And if you have further questions that are coming out today, please feel free to ask them and put them in the comment section. I'm happy to sort of write back to you always. Next week, I am going to jump into what that drug Breezula is, the one that I was talking about last week, clascoterone. How is this drug doing in its trial phases? How is it different from other drugs on the market? And what can we expect from this drug? Is it going to do well? How does it work? What's the mechanism of action? And what have we learned thus far? And I'll weigh in on that as a hair loss doctor. So I hope you've enjoyed today. I hope you've learned something and gained something out of it. Thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if this is something that you want to hear more of and you want to hear more from me on these particular things. But here with you on your hair loss journey, and looking forward to seeing you again next week. Cheers.